because what I want to do is basically discuss the Mac Jones thing. I mean, everyone's saying it's Mac Jones, right? Everyone's saying it's Mac Jones. Sure. Who isn't saying it's Mac Jones? And I think, Vish, I think you believe it's going to be Mac Jones.
I do.
So why don't you lay it out for us?
Okay, so here's the thing with the Mac Jones, right? It's just, you know what this Mac Jones reminds me of? If you remember last year, for the most part, everybody was getting wrapped up with that number 13th pick with CeeDee Lamb or Jerry Jeudy. And Javon Kinlaw, the reason people weren't even considering him is because most people thought Javon Kinlaw was going to go in the top 10. I think that was kind of the consensus thinking until like the last month of the draft when stuff about his knee started coming out. And then the week before the draft, the last Peter King article before the draft, he said if Javon Kinlaw is there at 13, he expects the Niners to take him. And all of that. And people started going crazy. The morning of the draft, people started mocking Javon Kinlaw to the 49ers. Lo and behold, Grant, I remember you tweeting, just making fun of the entire situation if they do take Javon Kinlaw and what happened.
I wasn't into Kinlaw, but yeah, keep going. Yeah.
They took Javon Kinlaw, right? So this idea that people don't know who the Niners are drafting to me is a farce. Just because they didn't know about them being enamored with Brandon Ayuk, how many people know which team picking at 31 or 25 is enamored with which player? For the top 10 picks, for the most part, the media gets it right. I remember 90% of mock drafts were between Solomon Thomas and Jamal Adams, and I would say the majority said Solomon Thomas in 2017. Week of the draft, I'll never forget. I wanted Minkah Fitzpatrick or Tremaine Edmonds so bad. Week of the draft, Peter King said Mike McGlinchey. Peter Schrager said Mike McGlinchey. Chris Sims said Mike McGlinchey. And at that point, I kind of figured, okay, this is Mike McGlinchey. Like the Mike McGlinchey to the 49ers, Baker Mayfield to the Browns happened a couple days in the lead up to the draft, and they happened. The media got that right. Nick Bosa, yeah, it was Nick Bosa, Quinnen Williams, Nick Bosa. But Grant, would you say that 95% of mock drafts had Nick Bosa by the end of the process? So when people say, oh, the media doesn't know, they have an inkling. And when people like Adam Schefter, Chris Mortensen, Michael Silver, all these people, they've been wrong before. But the reason they have this clout in this name is because they're right, like 90% of the time. That's why they have this name.
That's right.
And when they say Mac Jones, and they say Mac Jones with this conviction, I mean, Ian Rappaport went on a show that's run by the 49ers, got interviewed by an employee of the 49ers in Keanu Martin and said, I think it's Mac Jones. So when people do stuff like this, I'm sorry. Like I would prefer it to be Justin Fields. You know, I like the idea of Trey Lance, but it feels like Mac Jones. And I think the faster that as fans we come to that reality, the less we can protect ourselves from that disappointment.
I can't disagree with anything you said. I mean, you drew parallels, you used historical evidence. That's an A+. That's A+. All I'm going to say, and Vish, I can't say it all here, but you know what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I'm not as connected, not even close as Mike Silver, Ian Rappaport, Adam Schefter. I'm not, but I do have connections in the league. I got a few, and they're pretty good. And they don't know. I'm not saying they know, but I've talked to them, and they've saying, I just don't believe the Niners are going to take Mac Jones. And it's more than one. And I'm not saying they know. I just don't think they're going to do it. Now, they could be surprised or they could be wrong. But I know there's a significant section of the league that's like, there's no way. There's no freaking way. There is no freaking way that they're going to do that. And now maybe they will. But I think it's interesting that, you know, people who are as close to Kyle or as in the know as anyone else are like, BS. Not going to happen. I don't know.
I still like this kind of just came out of nowhere, right? Like a lot of people were mocking Mac Jones, you know, in the 20s. And then he kind of went up to the teens. And then as soon as the Niners went from 12 to 3, everyone's like, oh, it's Mac Jones. It just caught me off guard, and it still does. And I still am just like, where was all this hype before they traded up?
Right.
It was not there. He was considered like Patriots 15 was like kind of the, you know, where people were throwing him. So it's tough for me to believe that like we've been missing it this whole time. But as soon as the Niners trade up, Mac Jones is a top 5 pick. That's where I just lost.
Is it possible that their guy is Mac Jones, but they don't intend him to take him at 3? I mean, taking him at 3 is rich. You could trade down again a couple of spots, or you could take someone else and bank on him dropping, because I think a lot of people think he might. I mean, who takes him if the Niners don't? That's a question. Who takes him if the Niners don't?
That's a great question. But where I would stand with that is then I question how he's your guy in the first place.
Fair.
Because there should be no price if he's your guy. But here's what I will say, right? There's two nuggets, Grant, that I've learned in terms of listening to the people in the know. The first one is if you go listen to Keanu Martin's interview, Ian Rappaport drops one thing, and I don't know if it's a Freudian slip. I don't know what it is, but he says the Shanahans have not hidden their love for Mac Jones.
There you go.
He says the Shanahans haven't hidden their love for Mac Jones.
I mean, I think it's pretty obvious where this is coming from. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And then two, Mike Silver said on Matt Mayoko's podcast, I think it's this morning, he said, I know for a fact that their three guys, when they traded up, that third guy was Mac Jones. He said they could have changed now. I don't know if they've changed their mind, but I know for a fact that it was Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Mac Jones.
Wow. There you go. And again, Mike Silver has known Mike Shanahan since like 1990. Adam Schefter wrote Mike Shanahan's book. It's so obvious where all these guys at the top of the profession are getting the same information from. But it's not information. It's just my opinion. And they all have the same opinion. It's like, I'm guessing Papa Shanahan was like, hey, just don't report this just say you're smart. You figured this out on your own. Just say you figured it out on your own. And look, I can see that. But the only thing is that obviously they don't want to alienate their sources by lying to them. If something weird happens with the Jets, and they can be like, hey, well, we didn't see this.
Yeah.
We didn't mean to lie to you.
Right.
Yeah.
No, that's a great point. Look, and I'm still hoping it's not Mac Jones. And we have 4 days. Like, I can still convince myself. But here's the thing. All signs of, like, if you're just looking at this from a clear head, logical perspective, forget who you want. Like, it's hard to not look at these guys and say, like, why would they? What's the gain for them by constantly mocking Mac Jones to the 49ers and say, oh, I think it's Mac Jones? Like, what are they gaining out of it? Half of them that mock Mac Jones to the 49ers that also do the analyst job don't even think Mac Jones is better than Justin Fields or Trey Lance, but they keep mocking Mac Jones.
But
right?
if they hear it, I mean, theoretically, if they're hearing it from Mike Shanahan, why would they not report that? They would feel like, man, that's rock solid, man. That is rock solid. So let's flip it around. What does Mike have to gain by leaking this so aggressively? Why?
I mean, I don't know if he's the one leaking it, Blake.
Right, we don't know that. But if he is, then why? Well, it's in his interest. Whose interest is it?
I mean, I will say this though is like the media is very much generated on getting the most clicks and being very profound and
not me.
Everyone else, of course, not Grant.
Not me. I would never do that.
Nobody in this stream would ever do that. But there is bigger guys that would, and I think a lot of people have been kind of on Chris Sims because he was one of the main pioneers, I guess you could say, for this. And he always says, I'm not doing this for clicks, and I believe he's genuine. But people, you don't always know the motives of people. But there is definitely like some facts and logic to it too, and especially if they're hearing it from the Shanahans of the world, it's pretty good to report on that. And you would think that a lot of people say the Shanahans run the 49ers. I know that's been thrown around a little bit, Vish. So maybe there is a little truth to that, Grant.
I wouldn't be surprised if Kyle and Mike's top three is identical to Chris Sims this year with Zach Wilson number 1. Lawrence 2, Jones 3. I wouldn't
be surprised by that either. And I think with Chris Sims, to defend him, he basically just gave his opinion. He genuinely believes Mac Jones is the third best quarterback in the draft, which is why he feels he should be drafted.
And he genuinely wants to be a GM. He's not trying to be like an intriguing media personality. He wants to be
right. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing I will say is, like, everybody says they move in silence, right? Because I saw this in the comment section because of the Buckner trade or the fact that nobody knew they were moving up to 3. If this was Trent Baalke, where not a single soul thought Aldon Smith would be drafted by the 49ers, and then they drafted Aldon Smith. Not a single soul thought they would be drafting A.J. Jenkins. They drafted A.J. Jenkins. Not a single soul thought Jimmy Ward would be the pick. And it was like that. Because remember, I think when they picked Jimmy Ward, everybody thought they were trading up for Odell. Like, people were trying to mock them trading up for Odell. So, like, this, for whatever reason, this regime, the week of the draft, the media ends up getting it right. So I'll be interested to see who the mock is tomorrow. Because if it's Trey Lance is going to be the pick. If it's Justin Fields,
it's going to be Mac Jones.
If Mac Jones continues, then I think Mac Jones is going to be the pick.
What was I going to say?
Gosh.
Oh, man, I forgot. What I want to say is, can you tell me a more unpopular pick than what this Mac Jones at 3 is going to be? I mean, Niner fans are going to be so mad. What's a more unpopular pick?
Blake, you want to take this first?
I mean, I'd have to think. Like,
trading up into the top 3 for this guy.
I was gonna say, I don't think anything in this regard has been like they trade up super high. I mean, I know there was some stuff with the quarterbacks in 2017 with Trubisky, and a lot of people are saying Watson, but that was very two-sided. There's not as many Mac Jones, defenders as there are or as there have been in the past.
Right. Because the
whole fan base saying, don't do it.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
The other thing for Trubisky was the media was boosting him up. The media was saying, the Mel Kipers, the Todd McShays, the Mike Mayocks were saying he's the best quarterback in the draft. In this case, they're all telling you Mac Jones is 5th. And so
he's 33rd on my big board, but I could see him fitting the Niners. Like, ooh.
Yeah.
That's not
nice. Yeah, that's scary.
Oh, God.
And then the other, if I was making this pick, I wouldn't make it, but everything I hear says it's Mac Jones. And then the other thing, Grant, I would point to, and it's because my cousin's a Giants fan, and I saw him go through the disappointment of them trading Odell. Everybody's saying they were going to pick Daniel Jones, and the Giants fans were steadfast. No. It will be Dwayne Haskins. It will be Dwayne Haskins. It was Daniel Jones. And Daniel Jones is way better than Dwayne Haskins, but damn, they're still disappointed about that, I'm sure.
Yes. Yeah. So I just think it's interesting that the Niners are going to do something that they know their fans are going to hate. I just wonder, like, if they trade down to number 4 and get Mac Jones, will Niner fans be a little happier about it? Can they do something can they weasel out of it and not take him at 3? It seems like they're going to take him at 3. I just can't wait for it.
They would need someone to trade up with them, but
that's true. And why would you trade up with them if you think they're going to take Mac Jones? Like, I'll just chill at 4 and take Justin Fields. Like, great. How happy do you think the Falcons are? How happy do you think the Falcons are that the Niners are going to take Mac Jones and let someone more valuable drop to them? I mean, now if they want to trade down, boom, they get more. Yeah, it's the best thing that ever happened in Atlanta.
Right. And then the other thing is, right, like, I think the other way to look at it is that I think that trade down one thing, I think that's lost its charm with the 49ers fans. Like, oh, it was so cool what they did it the first time, and then it ended with Solomon Thomas. We're like, okay, we got Fred Warner out of it, but hey, let's cut.
Hey, they got Brandon Ayuk out of trading down with for Kinlaw.
Right, and then they got Brandon Ayuk out of it, and like Javon Kinlaw, I'm higher on him than you. I still think he's got high potential, and I think he's good. But Wirfs was just basically an All-Pro tackle as a rookie. So I think that trading down one spot thing has lost its charm for sure.
Yeah. Maybe it's for the Niners only, because you guys have just been on the bad end of those. I mean, at least with the Trubisky thing, like, you guys don't get clowned too much because they traded up and they took him over, to all pros. But yeah,
the Solomon Thomas pick was worse though. I mean, Trubisky's a better player than Solomon Thomas, unless Solomon Thomas turns his career around. Solomon Thomas does nothing.
Yeah, but the thing is, you didn't take him over Lawrence Taylor and Bruce Smith. You took him over some other guys, but that's beside the point.
1 second before we go, yeah. I have one more thing to throw into this pot. This has been a long topic, but it's been a good one. So I know a lot of people weren't able to read the Seth Wickersham piece this morning because it's on ESPN Plus. I tried. I also was able to read it. I don't have ESPN Plus. I just was lucky to be able to read it. And the point is that the piece actually was disappointing because there was a whole lot of nothing. But
it was a nothing burger.
One thing it was driving home was the fact that Kyle and Mike Shanahan had realized through years with Brian Griese and Jake Plummer and Matt, and even Matt Ryan was like, and Jimmy Garoppolo. And there was even a part in that article that was like Kyle got blamed for the Patriots Super Bowl, but Matt Ryan was a tick late on 4th down. Devontae Freeman missed a block. The defense didn't play well. So whose mouth do you think that came from? Just putting that out there. But
I can't guess.
But the point was that the whole article was about how they're going to try to get a guy to tie their legacy to a guy that's got a real chance to be that great guy, like Tom Brady was when they went against him in the Super Bowl, like Patrick Mahomes is. And I read that and I was like, wow, Like, geez, they traded up to 3 to do that and get the like. I mean, I love Justin Fields. Trey Lance has got high potential. I think the odds of any of them being that guy are quite low.
Quite low.
Yeah. And
hey, I might win the lottery tomorrow too. There's a chance.
Right. And the funny thing is, the funniest thing to me and the saddest thing about this is that they had an opportunity for 2 guys who I think will be first ballot Hall of Famers when their career is done in their first draft, and they just didn't do the due diligence. And I think that's just always going to come back and bite them.
And I hate to think that all the homework they're doing this time is just because they're going to take Mac Jones and they don't want to look bad that they didn't, it's like, yeah, we made our mind up 3 days before the draft. No, you didn't. You made your mind up when you traded up that you wanted to Mac. And the reason you traded up to number 3 a month before the draft, not the day of the draft, is because you knew Mac Jones would be there. There was no chance Mac Jones was going 1 or 2. No chance. Hey, do you think that Kyle's going to be like, you know what, Mac Jones, best quarterback in this draft? I thought he was as good as any. He reminds me a lot of Joe Burrow. I mean, everyone liked Joe Burrow. Why don't we like Mac Jones? I think Kyle's going to say
John Lynch will sell it like that for sure.
He's going to sell
it. No, we went through it. He was the most impressive guy we've ever seen.
We actually liked him the most.
Whoever.
Nothing against Trevor Lawrence
like that.
Well, nothing against Trevor Lawrence. We liked him just as he was our top guy. Off the charts. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people like Joe Burrow. We see a lot of the same qualities in Mac Jones. I guarantee it.
Grant, this is how it's going to go. Insert reporter's name here. We really went through this process. Kyle and his staff, our scouts, Adam Peters, Parag Marathe, insert 5 other names that none of us know, did an excellent, phenomenal job throughout this entire process, working through this. And we really came to a result, and we really came to this conviction that Mac Jones was right there. Trevor Lawrence is a really, really good player, but we had Mac Jones right there with him, and we're so happy. This is a great day for 49ers football, blah, blah, blah.
Absolutely. No question. I can't freaking wait. I'm hoping and praying. Please let this happen. I want to live in a world where the Niners take Mac Jones at number 3. I want to.
I know I've had a lot to say, but I got one more angle for you, and then we got to probably cut this topic. My bad, Blake. But real quick, there's one more thing. There's one more angle to this that I think is being underrated. So typically when the Niners have taken a draft pick in the Shanahan regime era, let's forget Grant Cohn. Reporters have been really positive about trying to cover that player and give him every benefit of doubt. If they pick Mac Jones, I don't think the reporters are going to stand by the 49ers, because 49ers fans are going to be angry, and reporters need their articles to sell. And negative Mac Jones articles are going to sell better throughout this training camp than positive Mac Jones articles. So I think we're going to see a lot of guys who've been writing very positively about the Shanahan Lynch era on Mac Jones when he plays poorly in practice. I think we're going to see more people than Grant Cohn really get angry about it, and I think that it's a little scary thinking about it.
It'll be open season, man, and if they take Justin Fields, the opposite will be true.
You'll be the only one trying to criticize.
Even me, I'll have to be very careful, because any criticism of Justin Fields, people, it's hey, it's training camp, it's a kid, it's his first. Like, okay, all right, okay. But with Mac Jones, it's like, he threw a pick today? Are you kidding me? Yeah, can't wait.
Trey Lance and Justin Fields, their practice report, they went 7 for 7 with no picks.
Oh my God. Kyle get fired before preseason starts. No, he won't, but it'll just be drama, man. So much drama. The daily Mac Jones reports, do you understand how many hits I would get? Here's what Mac Jones did today. Here's a blow by blow. Every single thing he did. Oh my God. Fans will be pouring over that. Can't wait.
All right, here's one last question.
Will make me rich.
I'll send this to you first. Do you think if they pick Mac Jones, that means they're an automatic for Hard Knocks? Because they're eligible this year.
They are eligible. That would be interesting. That would actually be very interesting, because you can't have a first-year coach, because the Jets and Jaguars won't be there. I think they'd be a top 3 team for just the camaraderie of all of that. I mean, the Shanahans, that name goes around the league, that would sell. And obviously whatever quarterback they have is going to be – people want to find out about them. And you got the Kittle and you got the Bosa's. They have the personalities of the big stars. They would be a very good fit, actually. Grant, what you think?
Absolutely, they should have to do it. Do they have a choice?
No,
I don't think they have a choice, right?
If the league picks them, they're in.
They should have to do it. The Raiders had to do it. It's their time. It's their turn. They've been ducking it. They were like, we do our own brick by brick. Brick by Brick is the worst show ever made. First of all, there's no bricks in that show. Second of all, you don't learn anything in it. They should have to do it. It's their turn. Fair's fair.
Grant, they could get you on there too, interviewing players and stuff.
You know what I'm saying? It could help my career. It could help their show. Maybe get the three of us.
Maybe
get the three. Hey, you heard me in Debo's little hype video.
Yeah. Hey, real quick though, if they take Mac Jones and they're on Hard Knocks, Blake, our bet this year is off because there's no way the Niners are doing better than the Packers. Hard Knocks is just bad. It's just bad juju for teams.
Yeah.
You can. I just feel like it's. You just can't do it with the cameras and all of that around you when you're trying to build a winning culture.
I've never actually watched the show. I don't have HBO, but I'm gonna splurge this year.
It's
a good show.
It's pretty decent, yeah. Especially if the Niners are there, Grant.
Well, then I have to watch it if the Niners get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Okay, so